Hello everyone, welcome back to The Verdict. I'm here with my friends and we are still discussing the elections and the election results and everything coming in. The EC had say what you say.
I'm a Ghanaian, an avid lover of politics worldwide, and yeah, a panelist on this show.
Great.
Okay. My name is Ama Boaje. I am the founding curator of the Afropol and love all things politics. I've worked in development for over 10 years, so I'm excited to be here.
Hi, I'm Vio Kejokuto, solicitor, business and media executive.
And I'm Sibido Suleiman, a strong advocate of the youth, basically.
Well, thank you guys all for being here on this show on MX24. So shout out MX24 for having us. And yesterday we were here apart from Amma. So Amma, welcome. Thank you for being the resident lady on our panel.
I know, right? It's gender balanced, but it's still not balanced.
It's still not balanced, but we're getting there. But thank you for availing yourself.
We need more women to accept the call.
Yes,
okay.
but I think a lot of women have accepted the call,
Yeah,
but
100%.
some of them missed my call yesterday. So that's why we have only one here, but we'll work with that for today. And Amma is more than capable to hold all of us together. So yes, so you just want to. Does anyone have any impressions so far of what's happening in the media, really, with regards to the election results? Amma, do you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, this election for me was, I guess, kind of boring in the sense that, like, there wasn't a lot of, giddy. But it was actually very exciting in terms of precedent setting. Right. Like, I, for one, was really excited to see the number of younger people who have been voted in. One of the constituency, that's like 2 constituencies from me. Shout out, Gansal. 2 constituencies for me voted in a very young woman. And so I'm really excited to see what happens from that.
Who was that?
Bartels.
Okay.
Oh,
Sheila Bartels,
Sheila
yes.
Bartels, okay.
And I don't know anything about her, but I know she's a woman and she's young. And so anytime that happens, I'm always very excited because we don't see, I think, enough of that. We have, of course, Zaneto is like the poster of young women.
Ultimately, sorry to cut you, ultimately we have a lady on the ballot this time as well. Not directly on the ballot, but we've got, a lady as a running mate.
Is she young?
Well, she's qualified.
Oh, fantastic. So then that's great.
And even the EC said there are more ladies contesting this time around than...
Yes, it's about 51%.
Yeah, and we basically have a lady in charge of the whole election. So that's fantastic.
Something like I always said, the future of the world is female.
It is.
But
we continue to reiterate. That's fine.
I mean, I don't want it to be more than cosmetic. Right? Like, we don't want it to be cosmetic. Like, for me, I'm just like, okay, yes, we have like a female VP, which is very empowering to see. But at the same time, all politics is local. So at the end of the day, when you bring it down to the parliamentary or you bring it down even to DCEs, which are largely overwhelmingly men, what is happening, on the ground? So seeing someone who's like I think she may be under 40, who's one of actually a very large, relatively large, I'll say, and bustling urban area.
I want to understand the part where we said there's a female on the ballot paper, but she's not directly on, and then that's just the running mate. Let's also remember that there are 3 females. Yeah. There are 3 presidential candidates. That are female.
Oh, they're female. Yes.
So let's not keep
Fair.
So that honestly is historic. And that changes the scope of where Ghana is going politically in terms of governance, and it also starts to help us answer the question that, are we ready for a female president in Ghana?
But do you even think that the 3 women that were there were treated fairly in terms of the press 100%. They received, in terms of the conversation?
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
I feel like everyone
was given
presence,
amazing,
and she was being interviewed all across. Even though some people, okay, let me just stay away from that.
I'll say for example.
No, don't stay away.
The candidate for Boom. Not everybody can tell me his name.
The Reverend.
The Reverend.
Have you seen their music video?
What's his name?
Reverend, I think
Christian.
I don't know.
Christian. Exactly. But then everybody knows Ike Adonko's name.
Yes.
Yeah. And the funny part is that a lot of people don't know the name of her party.
Right, that's true.
We know her. The thing is, we know her platform, though.
Exactly. So she was given that platform.
No, but I think the way that she was talked about, you know, was not. I think, for example, her platform around agriculture was very valid, and what the things that she represented in terms of the social space were also very valid. But because she wasn't speaking English, and because her English was a bit, no,
but at the end of the day, English being like the language, but the local dialect here is also Twi, and if she's communicating
one
in
of
Twi,
them, sure.
I don't see what the problem is. Like when we go into China, we're not expecting them to speak English.
What's going on is a few hours from now, we are on the cusp of history. There is a fair chance, if the odds are on the side of the largest opposition party, that we will have a first female president of our republic, and that's something we can all
vice president. But also if the odds are in
the odds, because we don't know yet until the EC comes out.
Yeah, I think the main point there is it's something we can all be excited about. I think we all agree there saying that we're all pro-gender equality. There's a good representation of feminists who are here, who are also men, and I know that we'll all welcome Anana Jono-Pokuagyeman vice presidency. I think it's.
I tend to agree with you on that one.
The people,
I don't think it's your place to say what's the will of the people, though.
That's what I say. If it's
that's
the will of the people.
Yeah. So let's leave it.
He's not declaring the will of the people.
Yeah, so let's leave it to that.
Yeah. So
thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's all I wanted to say.
He's not declaring the will of the people.
It's fantastic.
It seems as though that's
so we're looking at Twitter right now. There are a few things on Twitter that we should talk about. I think there's a video that we need to be addressing about the counting, but before, so that's what I want that to be pulled up.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, the counting at one of the polling stations where the lady basically says,
"This was very funny."
Okay, let's listen to it. Let's listen to it. Okay.
17, 18, 19,
100.
Wow.
No, so what was that?
Well, I don't know. Maybe she was nervous and she missed the count by a couple hundred.
My theory is this. You know when you're counting money and you count in batches? So she had done she was counting the 105 bits, and then so she did the first 20, the second 20, and then the last 20.
I sincerely hope that's my theory, because
I
want to give her the benefit of the doubt.
This is the one thing I think I'll agree with you on, because it doesn't make sense.
No, but I mean, what's beautiful is that I think we talked about. Well, it has been talked about that, like, because there's been a change to where the polling stations are now where elections are determined, that transparency is really beautiful to watch.
Yes.
Like, someone is sitting there and they're doing ahulele counting, and you're just like, ma'am, like, no. And everybody is there, their phones. I mean, that's beautiful. Like, to me, even though it was funny, and even though we're trying to give her many excuses for how you go from 16, 17 to 100, but it's still a reflection of our transparency. And
the significance here is also about accountability. And that's the stage at which we are at as far as this election is concerned. I believe that as much as it is a genuine reflection, if it's something that actually, represents the will of the people, then we wouldn't have post-election violence, right? So I'm quite confident that this election wouldn't be marred by any, casualties. I believe that both political parties are conducting themselves well. Obviously, there's always going to be quite a lot of drama. Sure. Pardon?
not everyone conducting themselves very well.
Well, one thing I want to touch on
is a bit better.
We've compared this current election to
a few others.
The recent, a few others, but mostly this recent U.S. election.
Yeah.
And remember, there was the issue of people not being allowed into the rooms to count the votes. You know, so while we are on this topic of transparency, I think we should be happy as Ghanaians that this is something we do.
Oh, fantastic!
Because I was talking to one of my friends, and he lives outside. He's not Ghanaian, lives outside Ghana, and he's like, "Oh, so how did the election process go?" Blah blah. I said it went well. I'm going back to my polling station to join the counting. He's like, "As an official?" I said, "No, as a civilian." He didn't understand. It's something that was new to them. And at that point, I felt proud. I'm like, wow, we actually get to do this. Well, it's no problem. Even when I got there, I kind of stood back because it was Burma camp, military.
But
so you know, I get there. I'm like, when we go. But then when I went and then I stood in front of them, there was no problem at all.
Of course.
So then I honestly, that's when I started to believe in the democracy that Ghana always preaches. And
when you guys basically Ghana has come from a far place since 1992 in a sense that we went from the opaque ballot boxes, then we were voting definitely in an open ballot. It was an open ballot, and now we are doing the secret balloting. Then we moved from, I think 2000 we did the secret balloting and the transparent ballot boxes. Then from 2012 we moved to the verification of the fingerprints and everything. I feel like we are getting there, and right now it's getting very transparent. No more strong rooms where people go massaging figures, all those things.
It's not really exactly about the process. I think we have a good grip of that. Now we're looking about post-election. It's about
exactly that's exactly what I actually want to touch on, right? So post-election in terms of counting, but also what does it mean for young people? Like, what does post-election really, like, if in the next few hours or 24 hours, whatever, the EC comes out to announce who the winner of the election? What does that mean for? Is that where our civic engagement ends?
There's a lot at stake because you've got a young man there who, doesn't earn enough cash to pay his rent, to afford healthcare, and you've got on the ballot box a candidate that's promising free primary healthcare. You've got a young man who's not been able to utilize his potential, and he has an opportunity to actually access technical vocational education. There's a young man there who operates an SME, a young lady who's running a thriving business, who's been losing a lot of cash because the taxes are not favorable. And so to people who voted based on the manifesto, to the ladies that want an extension.
Do you really think that the average person looks at that long document that is just English, like so many words? Like that's something that
I feel like if I may highlight the key points in the manifestos to vote. They don't actually bring out the whole document and necessarily go through.
Let's be very realistic. I want you guys to understand that
to vote.
If you look at the trends of elections in Ghana, it really doesn't have to do with manifestos. Let me finish it, and I'm not joking. It has to do with who gives more T-shirts.
No. I feel like you are really minimizing the Ghanaian intelligence.
I'm not. And I'm not saying this way by the culture. Hold on, let's be real. Let's not say everything goes by paper.
No, it's
listen, I'm telling you something.
It's not T-shirts or paper. You're making the
giving money.
It's not either they use
2012, 2016, 2020. I've been on campaign trails. I know what I'm saying. I know how many places I've been.
So you know that because you gave them shirt, they went and voted. No, people are getting sophisticated with their...
So let me finish. The areas that I've been to that they said, oh, please give me a T-shirt. When the other people came, they didn't give me a T-shirt. I promise I'll vote for you. I'm not speaking from I'm telling you for a fact. I'm telling you
where I disagree with.
So you can't come and say that everybody is voting. The second thing is
sure.
We have people that are saying, oh, these people only came and said Okada. They didn't look at anything else on the NDC's manifesto.
What else?
When they went to the MPP's manifesto, all they spoke about was free SHS. They didn't say anything else on the
ML.
So this is what I'm talking about when I say that
people are not videos of people actually wearing 2 shirts of political parties, one on top of the other.
That day,
have you seen that too? Have you?
So
is it that they are going to vote for both?
I can also in this same breath.
Is that the case?
A candidate was apparently
they have 2 shirts from 2 different
laptops, and he still didn't win.
So, sorry, yeah.
So there's no basis.
The point
I'm saying there's no basis for the fact that you have given someone a share. Doesn't mean
if you take your time and you understand the two sides.
Okay, wait.
I think it's a contradiction to say that the Ghanaian electorate is discerning and also not think that they vote based on, the manifestos, on policies. Now, what political parties always do is, essentially, regardless of the fact that you have strongholds, regardless of the fact that you have personalities that are very much loved by, the electorate, it's always an essential part of the communication strategy of any major political party to advance a message. And that message is normally a flagship policy. Now, that policy is included in your manifesto.
Exactly. So it's your highlight.
So when we talk about, the question that was posed was, on what basis are people going out to make a decision?
And Emil said T-shirts.
No, I agree with you. If I was given the chance to finish. No, because I feel like I wasn't given the chance to finish.
No, you were.
It was not. I wasn't actually Amma. I wasn't Amma. With all due respect, I wasn't. But however, I'm not even going to. I want you to finish. I really like what you're saying, and I'm not going to. I am. Take your time. I'm going to let him finish, right? Now you've made me lose my train of thought. You know what?
So you know what? You don't have to sit back.
So let's think about the election, right? In the sense of it being life-changing for people. Look, the average Ghanaian isn't getting enough cash. The quality of life isn't something that we're all pleased with. It's the reason why we have the contest of ideas, right? And so the declaration by G. Mensah in a few hours really is going to crush the dreams of some people. It's going to determine the direction in which people's lives are going to go as far as opportunity is concerned. For a certain special constituency of the Ghanaian electorate, and that's women, if it doesn't go in a certain direction,
no.
I'm going to challenge this.
Absolutely not. No. So I just want to say, I want to speak as a young person, as a woman, and then also as somebody who has looked at all of the manifestos. Number one, the idea that saying that the electorate is discerning, but then saying they don't read the manifestos is contradictory is not true, right? A discerning person can see that maybe reading the manifestos is not useful because the parties don't always follow them. So actually, my discernment. Both of them, yes. So my discernment.
But it's not just 2.
There's so many of them. Exactly. Let me land. I had 3 points. Let me
finish. Just comments on the woman thing.
I want to point that out.
So number one, I only read the 2 because at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is we do have a 2-party system. But I concede that maybe I should have read the rest. But in having read the 2, I recognize that both of them are very similar. You know, in some of the areas that they speak to, it's just maybe the gravity or let's say the specificity in some of them. So for me, I can see how a discerning voter would look at the manifestos and decide, you know what, let's not look at the future, let's look at the past. Let me look at what has been done for me before. And I think, and we'll get into this later, I'm sure, when we look at the issue of skirt and blouse and the issue of, flipping seats, it shows that people are saying, look, on a national level, this is what I've seen, but at a local level, this is what I've seen, and this is how I, a discerning voter who is not only using the manifesto, makes my vote. 1. 2, when I say that as a young person, I'm going into the ballot and I'm, trying to choose who it is. You're like, oh, so the person who doesn't have money and, let me say, the youth, for the most part, are very apathetic towards both parties and both manifestos. There is a very real and very urgent feeling that neither party is different enough to actually meet my material need. So when I'm voting, maybe I'm voting because I have faith in maybe a specific policy direction, or maybe I have faith that, people will represent me in a certain way on a certain stage, or maybe I have aspirations to the party, etc. But it's not immediately clear that I believe that they will have material benefit for me as a young person, right? So to the person going into the ballot and thinking like, okay, these people will help my business, will help my money. I don't know. For me, I'm not seeing that.
That's very interesting, and that brings me to something very that maps on very nicely. do you think that is why people are voting skirts and blouse to basically diversify their portfolio?
I mean, to the point of, that point, and also to the point of the women, because I think some of the controversy with having NDC's VP as a woman and her sort of, push is that what was great about that is the NDC manifesto did do a much better job of pointing out some of the needs and the interests of like maternity leave or, women's material sort of need. But that wasn't, let's say, historically reflected, right? Let me reiterate that the discerning voter,
I did my best.
The discerning voter might be saying, "I'm not looking at the future.
I don't want you to go past something you just said.
And therefore,
you're talking about maternity. You're talking about the maternity part. If you actually do compare what Eke Adonkor promised to what the NDC promised,
similar.
Then, if we're going to go by what you're all saying, then maybe those votes should have gone to Eke Adonkor then.
I didn't, but I literally didn't say.
When you look at all the
exactly.
you can't. We shouldn't do this. This is the problem we have.
Guys,
we complain and say that we choose between these two parties, and that they don't come to fulfill their promises.
Yes.
Okay, but then we're not giving the other people a chance. And their manifestos are there, and we're not reading the. I am reading them.
First of all, let's be realistic.
Jake?
Let's be realistic.
What's realistic about
Eke Adonkor's resource? Like, she's already talking about how the people don't even see how these parties, with all their material infrastructure and everything, are going to be able to trickle down. Do you think somebody's really going to look at, a majority of people are really going to look at Eke Adonkor's party and what she has available to her and say, despite all the backing that she needs to actually make this happen, because she has said it, that she do, and then I might as well go and run and be like, oh guys, I really think
okay, so what makes it possible that she can't do it, but then the other people
resources.
So does everybody become president on their resources?
No,
on the
resources,
human resources. Does she have a particular?
Hold on.
You see, in the polling stations,
to have available to you when you're elected as president, though.
No,
that's what I want to understand.
In no country is that the case. So absolutely not.
Wait, hold on. So I'm asking. Okay, so if someone comes to promise one thing. Do they do that from their resources? I just want to understand because
you're looking at resources very much.
Exactly. Many types of resources.
So explain.
Yes, honestly, human resources.
Human, political, geographic.
What they are saying, human resources, in the sense that even in some
name somebody from a non-cause political party. Name somebody.
Unfortunately, I don't.
And the fact that there are some polling stations, there are some
because we haven't given them a chance.
No, we're not. Hold up, let me
no.
Gamble Ghana. Because
you're not going to gamble Ghana.
No, I'm not going to gamble.
Hold on.
Does he even know that there are some polling stations?
Let me ask you a question. Did you know every single person that became minister? Before they became minister.
I knew the human resource backing of the party.
Because they've been tried and tested, though.
Exactly.
Okay, so then my point is you haven't tried and tested these people. No. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Before you're tried and tested, you have to.
Let me make my point.
Yes, let's.
Okay, so why don't you talk about the CPP?
Let's let him make it.
What I'm trying to say is, we are
having
a national.
Answer my question.
Wait, let me say something. We are having a national
election.
Now, in a national election, we have representatives. You need to have representatives in parliament. Now, if you have representatives in parliament, the two main parties in Ghana have representations everywhere. Absolutely. But here's the case where in the rest of the presidential people standing for the presidential election don't even have members of parliament nationwide. You go to some polling stations, some don't even have polling agents to even verify and check whether they've rigged. Whether they've actually voted and whether they rigged it, and they don't even have those human resources in the first place. And how? So you become president tomorrow. How are you? Which human beings? Which people? Because government is taken from the parties. So basically,
I think it's focused back on the discussion,
and also inclusive governance.
She made some two fine points. The first one was about the relation between the vote and I guess the manifestation of the promise, the manifesto promises when people assume power. Now, I believe that the cure to that, the only way young people can actually get much more involved, if there's a direct correlation between what they're voting for and how it changes their lives. Okay. Now, when young people realize that politics has consequences, politics has a benefit as far as their lives are concerned, they're more likely to find it crucial to line up for hours and make a decision. Now, the second brilliant point I think you make is about the history of both political parties, the main two, and their record of women.
The one she read.
Right.
The two that I read.
I'd agree.
I'm like him. I didn't read all.
I'd agree that as far as the early 2000s, everybody must have heard that, you know, either send your girl child to school.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You know, so we've certainly come a long way. I believe that both parties have tried, and very recently, some of the most high-profile positions we've had that women have occupied have been the, you know, Chief Justice position, you know, back to back.
Chief of Staff currently.
Chief of Staff currently as well, but obviously you look at the Speaker of Parliament as well. The NDC was able to produce a Speaker of Parliament, the first woman, I believe. The NDC was able to produce Charlotte Tosay as the first female EC chair. Akufo-Addo and the NPP followed that up. We saw that. So there have been precedents that have been set.
For sure.
The NDC, for some reason, you know, from a purely objective view, has somehow, some way, just been able to lead that charge once more when it comes to the presidency and elevating a qualified lady to a position where, with the absence of prospectively a president-elect, she would be in charge of. I believe that the NDC also, and to answer this from a purely factual basis, is amongst the two main political parties, the only one that has shown a secession of the VP to the presidency. It happened with John Evans Atta Mills. It happens with John Mahama.
So you're saying that?
I can't confirm it, and I don't speak on behalf of the party directly, but I think the history of the party as far as its appointment of political personality shows that it has a precedent, and there's also a gap there.
There's a gap there. In the sense that they don't always repeat their running mate. There are cases where in 2000,
I accept that
changed his.
I accept that. The statement I made,
could change.
Sibi, accepted. But the statement I made was, each time there is a vice president, as far as the NDC is concerned, they normally are elevated to on the ballot box. Exactly. So the history of the NDC has shown that they're much more, you know, I guess they're much more female-oriented. The NPP, I believe, and that's the beauty of democracy, there's always competition, has also had to meet that. And I think the sitting president, if he assumes power, if he doesn't, whatever the case is, we can see some consensus to include more women as far as
in any case, we'll be going on a short break so we can regroup and calm down. We are still on MX24. My name is Jake Obeng-Bediako, and I'm here with my friends, and we are still having a conversation on the elections and our results coming in and all things Ghanaian election and youth. So when we come back, we'll be discussing the new MPs and also just the we'll go back to skirts and blouse voting because I don't think we exhausted that enough. Yes, so we'll see you after the break.
What's up, JH? Welcome to MX Beats, your official entertainment and lifestyle home. And every single week, we're bringing you your favorite artists. Say cheese, take a picture. Shaka pose, make a see.
What's the name?
Indeed, we also bring you exclusives in music videos, interviews. Honestly, we have got you covered right here on MX Beats. Who is this?
Okay.
Oh, I love this.
I think I know what this is. This is an OG. This guy is not even a footballer. I don't know what
what did I say? They like vintage. What did I say? Jay-Z, baby.
On this show, we help unearth new talent, write the right mix of music to boost your energy.
Big man, big things, yeah.
Tim shoes, big things, yeah. You figure say we they come joke me as I they come, my mind was play. My name is Jason Elaine.
My name is Miss Drew.
My name is DJ Vorosky, and I'm here to give you the best of music.
Some of us were born into parties without even knowing why. Automatic.
We shouldn't lose sight of the fact that some people are actually being influenced.
Yep. I don't give small money chance.
If I have the opportunity, I'll go in so that I also get the money because we are chopping money.
So they use the youth as a means to their ends. So you are not voting?
I know they vote. That's the problem with the system.
Are you voting? Of course I'm voting.
Angelina, you be cool in my temperature. If you call,
say cheese, take a picture. Shaka pose, make a see, take a picture.
And I like book.
Why the party there today? Hey mama, hey I ever say. Shake your body.
All over the world, young people like you and I are making great change.
3 presidents have been to this ungrateful party. My cousin here wants power, but he doesn't want to get his hands dirty.
Your campaign has been saddled with a lot of issues and it won't survive another scandal.
Is there something I should know? I want Nana gone.
She's only doing something we're all afraid to do.
Manaba, so what kind of lessons are we putting out there for our youngsters?
Most of us don't even know what we want until it hits us in the face.
Every single time he comes around, she just turns into this emotional, wishy-washy, love-struck thing. That is exactly what she needs.
You're president for 8 years. You make me president for another 8. You rule for 16 years. You continue. What you didn't finish. Build your legacy. You have your way with me. You use me as usual.
Are you going after a man who has championed your political career to this point? A man who got you sponsors to back your ambitions?
What the hell?
Hey! Don't! Just need to speak. It's a blatant disregard for due process, Charlotte. And I'm not having it.
You're back with us on MX24 on The Verdict, and I'm here in the studio with my friends, and we are discussing all things Ghana politics, Ghana elections 2020. The elections were 2 days ago, and we are still awaiting the final results. But in the meantime, we've seen a lot of results from constituencies that have elected their members of parliament. And so we've seen some members of parliament lose their seats, which I want us to go into. And then after that, we'll also discuss some of the new ones, some of the new young ones especially. So, MPs who have lost their seats. We see Derek Oduro for Nkoranza North. We see George Yao, John Balfour for Wenchi, Ali Maiga Halidu for Doma West, and Stephen Siaka for Jaman North. So these are all MPs that, yes, and also, yeah, George Anda for Awutu Senya West, George Boahin Oduro for New Edubiase, Abubakar Sadiq Boniface for Medina. Oh dear.
No, that's a very controversial one.
Well, yeah, and then Yao Afo. But you know what? I'm just noticing that they are all men.
And all MPP.
What's happening?
Well, I mean, if you
look at still men.
No, it's all men, all MPP. But if you look at the Medina one, actually, if you go back to that, that one is a very interesting one because the MPP person who was there before had taken it from an NDC person, someone who was like very strong, and the person who was replacing him now, the NDC person, took it at like I think by 20,000-30,000, like it was a very 20,000, it was a very large margin, and I think that Medina is also the kind of place, just as a constituency, when you look at the demographic of the people who live there, it's like new money, you know, middle class Ghana, the burgeoning middle class, etc., meets another type of like Zongo, like there's a very interesting mix
basically
there.
With the Medina constituency, it tends to be more of an NDC stronghold. So most times throughout the election, it tends to go to the NDC. But in 2016, we saw that Abubakar Siddiq Boniface took.
I think the interesting parts about the
why they change it?
Yeah, basically sometimes it has to do with apathy, internal party politics. People feel they were not happy due to some things that you have done and all these things. So at the end of the day, 2016 and 2020 has shown us that you can be behind a particular political party, on the ticket of a particular political party, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean you are going to win the seat.
And that's very important.
Because they voted, I think Medina voted MPP president and voted NDC.
I'm not too sure about this 2021.
Okay,
I don't know the numbers.
But it's the general sentiment I'm finding that people are really throwing the form of Onana really caught on, and everybody's really satisfied with him, or the majority are satisfied with him. Well, but it just seems that the people are not satisfied with the members of parliament. Yeah, the local.
The dynamics about politics have changed. I don't think any political strategist is going to be able to base their future, you know, campaigns based on the stats of the last 20 years. I mean, historically, any party that has won the Greater Accra region has gone on to win the presidency. This will be the first time that wouldn't happen. Or perhaps this could be, you know, it could follow the tradition. And perhaps because the MPP has lost the Greater Accra region, I think most of the provisional results
and also
do show that.
What we also know is the MPP doesn't really do well in the north. So probably per the projections the media is also putting out there, it could be that northern region could have you know, made up for the loss in Accra or something.
The dynamics have changed.
The dynamics.
I think a much more closer, much more keen look, as far as that's concerned, will tell you that people are dissatisfied with the kind of representation they had in Parliament. They don't believe in the caliber of legislators that they had confidence in 4 years ago. So
wait, sorry,
absolutely.
Do you believe that it's a lack of confidence in legislation, or do you believe that that is actually a representation of people's dissatisfaction with their DCE? So my theory is that people, because they can't elect their DCE, who is the executive, that means they execute the budget for your district, they take that out on their MP. So that's like one theory I have. Like, I can't elect the person who is actually responsible for giving money for this and doing some of these things. Many people, I'm not sure, it could be the case, but I'm not sure. Many people understand that the MP's role is to go to Parliament and get you laws that bring resources to you. And because people don't know that, it's not immediately clear. We still have to see.
I
don't know if they're making that relationship. I see the MPP, the skirt and blouse, as a reflection of DCE dissatisfaction.
Well, that's one way you can look at it. But when those policies are made based on legislation and are passed in Parliament, for them to be implemented, that's when the resources go out. So if you're not making policies that favor, you know, people, then perhaps the DCs may not.
With the change in, like, with what we are seeing in terms of the trend, there's something. Let's go into numbers a bit. In 2016, MPP won 169 seats. NDC won 106. Now, that was a very huge majority. In 2016, MPP took some strongholds of the NDC. And in 2020, we are seeing that the NDC is taking back those seats. And the 2016, they losing those seats was as a result of some internal politics here and there, and also some parliamentarians not doing what they needed to do in the constituency level.
You know what I want us to also talk about? Bernard Okoboy.
Bernard, that's my constituency.
Yeah, that's your constituency.
Yeah.
So talk to us more about that. What was happening?
That was a very big upset.
So what happened was, you see,
he lost.
That constituency, they are not loyal in a way, basically, to one political party.
Good. Which is
yes.
Excellent.
So they always change.
Right.
And it's only once where a certain like MP has been retained twice, just once. So
what
and
were the
even
circumstances
sometimes,
of that? Maybe that
and even sometimes what happens is you can even win the parliamentary seat and lose the presidential. I'm hearing Okuboy rather won the presidential and MPP won the presidential and lost.
We're still waiting for some of these certified results to be churned about the EC. Exactly. I think that's going to be the main focus.
Speculations. I think the EC has confirmed the MP, but not
on the EC's live Twitter, if anybody. But I don't know for the presidential.
And the fourth estate, the media has taken a lead role as far as preserving the peace of our democracy is concerned.
Yes.
There hasn't been in this particular election some sort of they haven't really been in sync, right? There are a lot of conflicting figures that are coming out that only the EC can bring finality to.
Well, I believe that not necessarily.
We haven't heard from Emil in a while.
One, I feel like we've gotten to a point where people are no longer taking lies. You have people taking lies.
Okay.
You've had people that have been MPs for a long period of time, and all of a sudden they start to get lackadaisical, and they just go into parliament to satisfy certain gains. Now you go in there, and then you're not really taking care of the people in your constituency. So now I'm happy that people have started to rise up against them and like, okay, you've been given the mandate. If you're not going to do the job, I'm sorry.
You can't be far drunk. There's no
leave.
Exactly.
Leave. I'm very happy that Ghana has gotten, the electorate has gotten to that point.
And to the credit of the Education Act, I think the fact that the electorate has evolved that way is a credit, like you said, of send your girl child to school. It's a credit of basic education policy from 2000, 2004, those times. And we're seeing the outgrowth of that because for somebody to go into a ballot room, and this is why I had very big beef with your T-shirt point, because someone is saying, I'm going to take your T-shirt, I'm going to take your bag of rice, and I'm going to go into the ballot box and vote how I feel. Because I know that you're going to bring the T-shirt and the rice.
When I was making that statement, I really wish I had finished that.
Absolutely.
I did, but that's we're not going to go into that because there were two sides to that part. Okay.
But there is also just very quickly. There's also an essential part as far as that's concerned. I believe if you look at it through the point where you're trying to manipulate people with your resources, then perhaps I would largely disagree with him. But there's a sense of involvement. When you go to the hinterlands, people do want paraphernalia. It's the same way people want to keep paraphernalia. It's a way of being involved, and it's a way of raising funds for the party. Not all of them are absolutely free. So it's a way of fostering unity. It's not all about giving them out so you can just solicit votes, but it's about building a family, building a culture.
Paraphernalia is great. We accept all of that. But also, I would think we should look at the new MPs onto more exciting news. I guess. Yeah, so we have Gazelle Tete, Adamu Ramadan, Francis Xavier Sosu, Peter Amewu, which we discussed him yesterday.
And Gazelle is also really exciting because she's taken back the seat from her sister.
A lot of people with portfolios on Akufo-Addo seem to have lost their seats. You had George Anda, Barbara Oting-JC, Barbara Yisi. I mean, I believe the former Second Lady of our Republic. You know, that's been also quite a
But then the Hohoi one is also exciting some new ones as well.
These are so I mean, in Yendi we have Farouk Aliyu Mahama, we have Al-Hassan Tampuli, John Kuma, who was NEIP, CEO of NEIP. He did really well in Ajisu, I heard. And then Kofi Adams and Boehm.
But look at the average. If you look at their faces, what do you think is the average age of that compared to the ones who left?
I wouldn't be able to.
I think that says no. I mean, I know that black don't crack, so it's hard to know. We do look good. But just look at
Farouk in Yendi like this took it from the deputy minister of.
He didn't.
Yes. So he didn't take it. He resigned, resigned per se, but he didn't go. He decided not to go.
That's good.
So, but he was older, and this is much younger. And Al-Hassan Tampuli to MPA.
We love that when someone believes in a younger person, supports them to
exactly. Like at some point, I feel like the older people have to step back a little.
A lot of people are taking over from their families.
Oh,
well,
like
not a lot.
Right?
To me,
is that a lot?
Well, I wouldn't say a lot.
Okay.
I take that back. It wasn't a lot.
But
And Atamio's brother also winning in
Cape. So,
nice.
Yeah, so it's, to me, I like the fact that these are people that have already have people right next to them who've gone through it. So it's like, okay, this is the path that I need to take. Now, that's the thing. I think we need people with experience. We don't have experienced people that are going in there. That also brings it down to the youth. The youth we don't get a chance in Ghana. Let's now we are beginning to.
Yes.
Now we're beginning. That's what we're beginning to. Yeah. We're beginning to, and I feel the more we show interest, the more we become a force to reckon with.
But how do you do that? So one of the big questions I get from a lot of the people that I spoke to who are very apathetic about this process, one question was, how do I get involved without marring myself with the party? Because when you're young, you know, you have a lot to lose by holding fast to any specific party, especially if you don't see enough of a difference, right? So what is the way for me to enter into the political sphere? I have ideas, I have thoughts,
it's getting very simple. It's getting very simple. There's technology.
Simple, tricky.
Like, okay, tricky but simple, and also
once you have the credentials, right?
Which are the credentials?
So you see that's the
shouldn't
thing.
be limited.
He doesn't want to go there like this.
That's what you're saying.
But I feel like technology gives you an opportunity.
Sorry, let him land. What are the credentials?
Go ahead, trust me.
I know where he's trying to. The credentials he's trying to, like, basically, like, you need to know somebody, it's about who you know and all that.
We should never have to demonize personality. I think yesterday one of the things we agreed on was that mutual, peaceful coexistence, right? It's very important. Tolerance, right? Yeah. Yes, there is a lot for a young, lady to lose diving into politics. It comes with, quite a lot of pressure. So, as far as society is concerned, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, you can be marred. I mean, as a woman, definitely
but when you get into politics,
that goes into
I think it should be based on setting values. You should have a vision for yourself. You should have something you're personally fighting for that would inure to the benefit of society. If you're going to do under a particular political party, you should only join that party if you believe in their core values.
But can you do it outside of the party, though? Like, name a successful youth-led movement that's had national ramifications for the country.
In our history, there has been one.
Which now I'm saying in our current dispensation, because somebody's saying it's easier because we have digital. Meanwhile, the digital is being ignored largely by some of. For example, I went to my constituency's website and it expired. Wow. It was expired.
So
then
I
went to their Twitter.
I look forward to that, and I believe it's coming pretty much soon.
No, I have to say this because I went to their Twitter, and their Twitter also the last time they had tweeted something was like a year ago. No, because the thing is, someone is saying it's easy because we have digital. Someone is saying it's tricky because you need to have the credentials. And my thing is saying, so for the average person who is passionate, who has ideas, who wants to make a change, who's looking for an inroads to really impact even their community, where do they start?
You said something about marring yourself with the party, which I think was, I found a little aggressive. Then I was like, okay, actually, yes, she's right. But it's because parties do things at a certain points that we even parties you belong to or you're sympathetic to do things that you disagree with. I mean, for example, we have parties declaring themselves winners. Right, directors of communication in parties,
general secretaries
declaring themselves winners, and when we know that you do not declare yourself as a winner.
So I found the preposterous one. John Boydu came out yesterday, and
even Mama also came out to do the same thing. But basically, the point I'm trying to get across is that 10 years ago, 8 years ago, did we have something like social media politics?
No, I believe it hadn't heightened.
No.
We had a lot of people 10 years ago who started this, and they were asking them, what's all this?
Obama was elected in 2008.
They were asking them, what are you doing? In Ghana, I'm talking about Ghana, in perspective of Ghana. But now we are seeing people who are social media, like lords on social media, known politically, who are tweeting, who are talking about the issues, the hard issues.
So
and it's something that if you want to go into the political spectrum, you should be out there. In politics, you can't do politics without staying in your room. But basically, if you stay in your room,
but if I understand what you're saying,
I think we have a video. We have a video with the political parties declaring themselves winners. That way, I think we're going to watch, and then basically we can analyze that to see.
I don't think any
Ghanaians, especially NDC supporters, for their hard work, their vigilance, and their support so far. It's not been easy, but you've proven that you are really worthy warriors for the cause. Preliminary results trickling in shows a very exciting outlook. But our victory is not complete until the last ballot is counted and collated. These preliminary results can be seen from the provisional parliamentary results so far, and some significant seats that we have swapped, some for the first time in the history of the Fourth Republic since 1992. And I'm going to go through Some of them. Now, starting from Greater Accra, we have flipped Crowell. Flip means this is a seat that was won by the MPP in 2016, and we've gotten it back based on the provisional result. So we have flipped Crowell, we have flipped Lejokuku, we have flipped Lada de Kotopon, we have flipped Tema East, we have flipped Adenta, we have flipped Medina, we have flipped Ablekuma Central, and we have flipped Okaikwe North. This is Greater Accra. So far, 18 and counting. I'm focusing on the flipped ones. When it comes to the eastern region, we have maintained a lot of our seats.
The NDC needs to take Ghanaians seriously and check their facts before addressing the nation. This is a serious matter about elections results. Creating insinuations which creates a lack of credibility on our whole election process. The MPP's 2016 win of majority of 169 seats in Parliament was historic and the first of its kind since the Fourth Republic dispensation. We are happy to announce that for the next Parliament, it is obvious from the results declared across the constituencies that the MPP will still maintain a majority in Parliament.
All right, so we see this footage from both parties. Oh, God. There are more projections, right?
Exactly.
In which I find that, well, I found some wording very problematic. Maybe it's just me and my love for peace and stability. But calling people warriors, I don't know about all that. But I mean, I'm sure it's just one of those passionate speak, so that's fine. And also, I think using it was very, people are circumventing, like it's obvious, it's this, and I'm like, let's relax.
There's always going to be a desire by politicians to stir the sentiments of the masses. Yeah, it's part of
I understand
election,
that, but yeah, go ahead.
Largely, right. Both the MPP and NDC, while anticipating the outcome of the election, are going to have to excite their base and incite amongst their base, not violence, but a sense of vigilance. That they've got to be up to the task. They've got to keep a close eye on what's going on.
Like being at the polling station, counting, making sure that everything, like checking the lady that said 1900, and things like that. That's very important.
And keeping an eye out for any other irregularities. Yeah. Now, there's something that Elvis Efrie-Ankara mentioned, that every vote must be counted. I believe that the two main stakeholders have got to commit to that.
Oh yeah, of course.
I have no doubt in my mind that if every single vote, as far as this election is concerned, and there is a credible, I'm not done speaking to.
If you are saying every, let him land so he knows.
We should count every vote.
No, let him land.
Votes are
go ahead, gentlemen.
Like we count every vote at the polling station.
Yes, sir.
They're collated there.
Yes, and if you are not okay with the votes, the counting at the polling station, you don't sign.
Thank you.
So don't.
Things are being authenticated at every level.
Every level.
But in any case, you need to finalize your point because I want us to.
So the point, it's very straightforward. I think we're all Democrats here, social democrats probably, you know. And the main point here is we all believe that our elections have got to be fair.
Yeah.
And we can all agree that every vote that is credible, that was cast by a citizen who was registered on the ballot, has got to be considered. And I am saying that I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that the aspirations of the Ghanaian citizenry, the sudden obsession with welfare and a thriving economy, and the kind of energy.
I don't think it's sudden. We've always
both political parties, especially even those that call themselves more far right, more the property owning democracy, they call themselves Democrats. They call themselves. Are putting out free SHS. We're putting up. We're seeing free primary healthcare. Ghana is wrapped in socialism. We've always been much more in favor of the unity of the community as opposed to the success of the individual. There is a sense of responsibility for who we are as a collective, and I'm saying that I have no doubt in my mind that whatever. Absolutely, in a second, I have no doubt in my mind that whatever happens, the socialist cause, Ghana is moving center left. and it's clear. And now there's only one.
I want to hear from Mama.
You started at one point.
The elections of both of you, the center movement will thrive. And please go ahead.
I don't know how we started at coalition of a vote
and
ended up at a socialist Ghana. How did we get here?
There's a simple answer for that.
Let me run it back. Let's run it back.
Running
Running it back to the coalition, the issues about making announcements beforehand. What I will say that I'm very proud of Ghanaians on WhatsApp, on Twitter, on Facebook, is anytime someone makes a statement, someone comes in with the wait for the EC, wait for the EC. The way the Ghanaian people have really just taken them as truly this is the voice is just such a remarkable statement on the part of Ghanaians. That no matter how you try to wrap it up in brothel that, raising the sentiment and why. The people are like, you know what? Whatever sentiment you're raising, we're waiting for the EC.
That's
when the EC speaks, and we know who the president is.
And on that note, I think we let's all just share our final messages before we close this off. So we'll start with you, Emma. You've been quiet for a while, so I'm going to give you the courtesy.
I'm just going to wait for the EC, like we just said.
Fantastic.
EC has the final say, so let's just wait what they have to say. And I feel like Ghanaians need to support whoever is president. We owe the person that. The voice of this people have spoken. So
I think that's a very good summary, actually. I don't think we have much else to add to that.
Everyone needs to.
I mean, I do want to say though, because we did talk about the responsibility people have after the election, and I think that what this election has shown me is how local politics really matter. And I hope that young people who are watching this, are really using the Googles, using the Twitters, like using the agency that you have to find out what are people saying in my constituency, what are they doing, sending those messages, going to the offices. I mean, I know that the average person is thinking like, I'm just trying to eat, so I don't have time to check these people. But if the spirit leads, be guided. Be guided, as the people will say. Be guided. And literally hold your people accountable.
I'm also focusing on what happens if, as students of politics, we all, being students of politics, basically, we are, So I'm just trying to figure out if what happens in the parliamentary seats, if the NDC should get the majority and NPP wins the presidential, how is it going to play out?
That's going to be beautiful.
We need to start asking those questions.
We are going to leave everyone with. Thank you all so much. My name is Jake Obeng-Bediako. I've been joined here with my friends. We've had a very heated discussion. This is MX24. You're still watching The Verdict. We are hoping for election results in the next few hours, and then we can all probably celebrate because we are going to support whoever wins the election.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Some of us were born into parties without even knowing why. Automatic.
We shouldn't lose sight of the fact that some people are actually being influenced.
Yep. I don't give small money chance.
If I have the opportunity, I'll go in so that I also get the money because we are chopping money.
So they use the youth as a means to their ends.
So you are not voting?
I know they vote. That's the problem with the system.
Are you voting? Of course I'm voting.
All over the world, young people like you and I are making great change.
3 presidents have been to this ungrateful party.
My cousin here wants power, but he doesn't want to get his hands dirty.
Your campaign has been saddled with a lot of issues, and it won't survive another scandal.
Is there something I should know? I want to know Anagona.
She's only doing something we're all afraid to do.
Anaba, so what kind of lessons are we putting out there for our youngsters?
Most of us don't even know what we want until it hits us in the face.
Every single time he comes around, she just turns into this emotional, wishy-washy, love-struck thing.
That is exactly what she needs.
You're president for 8 years. You make me president for another 8. You rule for 16 years. You continue. What you finish? Build your legacy. You have your way with me. You use me as usual.
a man who has championed your political career to this point, a man who got you sponsors to back your ambitions.
What the hell?
Hey, don't!
I just need to speak. It's a blatant disregard for due process, Charlotte. And I'm not having it.